A glorious day here at Barber Motorsports Park. Perfect conditions for racing. Qualifying was an absolute thriller yesterday, as you will have heard at the top of the show. Alex Palou starts from pole. But let's see where everybody else starts today's race as we take a look at the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix starting grid.
Devlin DeFrancesco, Toronto, Ontario.
I'm Scott Dixon, driver of the number 9 PNC Bank Honda from Auckland, New Zealand.
I'm Jacob Abel from Louisville, Kentucky.
Robert Schwartzman, born in Israel, Tel Aviv.
Marcus Ericsson, Kumla, Sweden.
Stingray Rob, Hayat, Idaho.
Graham Rahal, Columbus, Ohio.
I'm David Malukas, grown up in Chicago, Illinois.
Connor Daly from Noblesville, Indiana.
I'm Kyle Kirkwood from Jupiter, Florida.
Christian Rasmussen, I'm from Copenhagen, Denmark.
I'm Callum Milo, I'm from Cambridge in the UK.
Alexander Rossi, Nevada City, California.
Felix Rosenquist, Värnamo, Sweden.
Santino Ferrucci, Woodbury, Connecticut.
Louis Foster, Odium, England.
Marcus Armstrong, Christchurch, New Zealand.
Hi, I'm Kevin Simpson from the Cayman Islands.
Josef Newgarden, Nashville, Tennessee.
Pato Award, Monterrey, Mexico.
I'm Christian Lundgaard from Vejle, Denmark.
Nolan Siegel, Palo Alto, California.
Rinus VK, Hoofddorp, the Netherlands.
Will Power, Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia.
I'm Colton Herta from Valencia, California.
Scott McLaughlin, Christchurch, New Zealand.
Hello, I'm Alex Palou. I'm from Barcelona, Spain.
Colton Herta has started in the top 2 rows at every race so far this season. Scott McLaughlin going for a 3rd win in a row at this track. Alex Palou hoping for a 3rd win this season. A number of those drivers you just saw out of place. Scott Dixon, 26th. Ericsson was fastest in practice 1. He's down in 23rd. Carl Kirkwood, 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, starts 18th with a huge amount of work to do here around this incredible roller coaster of a circuit. It really is such a challenge, and it will challenge every one of the 27 drivers of the NTT INDYCAR Series around these 90 laps. As now we go down trackside for the command.
Here to give the command for today's race, please welcome 2025 Miss America, Abby Stockers.
Drivers, start your engines!
Starting up. Command has been given. Okay, there's the command.
And as engines are fired up, we're getting ready to roll here in Alabama. We'll be back. The Barber Motorsports Park is an 880-acre racing facility here in Birmingham, Alabama. It is a beautiful racing circuit that also plays host to one of the most incredible museums you will ever visit. A stunning array of sculptures around this park and a place where Penske come to play. 8 wins in 14 races, including 7 for their current lineup. Townsend, Hinch, talk us around this track.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you wanted to simulate an F-16 airshow ride without leaving the planet, you would do it on a lap here at Barber Motorsports Park in an IndyCar. This place, super fast, demanding, and high G-loads, James. There is no other lap in the country like one around Barber.
No, it really is a roller coaster in an IndyCar, and this is coming up to one of my favorite sections in all of racing. You come down the blind hill in 8 through 9. It's almost like the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, and then this blast down the back straight through this flat-out chicane. You're going to be reaching a top speed of 173 miles an hour, but here's why it's so impressive. The minimum speed in 12 is $164.
And you can't see where the track is when you fire it in there to turn 12. It finishes with a triple right apex corner and then a left-hander to finish off the lap.
And it's a great lap here. The Honda track map, that is your 17 turns at Barber Motorsports Park.
Just moments away then from the start of this race. Let's roll down to pit lane and Georgia Hennery.
Thanks, guys. Colton Herta is going to roll off third today. His best qualifying effort here at Barber Motorsports Park. This season, the 26 has yet to qualify outside the top 2 rows, but has not been able to put together a podium finish. Today, Colton wants to capitalize on that starting position, as well as their plan for the pit cycle. That plan starts with Firestone hard tires and a lengthier stint off the top. Kevin.
Arenas VK is starting 5th. Best qualifying effort he's had and Dale Coyne Racing has had in a couple of years. And what's different, he is the highest starter that has 2 sets of these brand new soft sidewalls. This might be a good day for VK, Jack.
Another driver out of place today, Scott Dixon. Albeit he hasn't won here before, he has had 9 podiums, and in 14 races, he's only finished outside the top 10 one time. He's the guy that I'm watching today, no doubt about it.
Thank you, guys. Honda is the official pace car of Barber Motorsports Park, and the 2025 Honda Civic Type R leads the field around here, just moments away from the start. Guys, expectation mounting.
Huge expectations. The question is, what kind of jump does Alex Palou get on the start? Because if it's dead heat going to turn 1, I promise you McLaughlin and I think Herta going to be very brave.
And can we get through this first lap clean? We're on 249 consecutive green flag laps without a caution. Does it change here?
This is more than a race. This is a reckoning. They line up 2 by 2, coming through the final corners to get things started here. At Barber Motorsports Park, we roll to green, and in Alabama, we are racing. A great start from the pole sitter, Alex Palou, with the immediate advantage coming down into turn 1. McLaughlin has a look, but thinks better of it.
Not much of a break zone in turn 1. They're going to be 2 and 3 wide through turn 3 of many different lanes. Look on the outside. That's one of the Meyer-Shank machines getting around Josef Newgarden. Everybody playing nice, but what happens when we've got to hit the brakes for the first time in 5?
3 McLaren teammates starting nose to tail. They fan out with Pato Award trying to catch up to the 2 of Nolan Siegel and Christian Lundgaard, the 3 orange cars, papaya cars going forward.
Lundgaard and Siegel almost making contact. Siegel will have the inside line and has the advantage coming down the hill through the quick chicane. I think there was some contact at the back just at the start there. One of the Premers looking very squirrely through those corners, but it's Alex Palou who has the immediate advantage over Scott McLaughlin. Colton Herta, Will Power, no change on the top 2 rows as everybody wiggles around through the fast sweepers.
So far, so clean, which is kind of the theme of IndyCar Racing 2025. Everybody in lockstep. You see Scott Dixon there at the back, but up front, it's already plain sailing for Palou, and a little bit of back and forth there. That's Louis Foster trying to mix it up with Rossi.
Alex Rossi doing a great job.
Big move from Jacob Abel.
Rossi pressing forward up front. Palou under pressure from McLaughlin.
And this is what Scott McLaughlin needs to do. The only two drivers in the top half of that top 10 who started on the softer rubber. Look at McLaughlin looking one way, looking the other, keeping the race leader under pressure, and that is what you love to see.
Already using the push to pass. It's about 50 to 60 extra horsepower. You've got 200 seconds to use it. McLaughlin all over the button right now, trying to get around Palou. Palou definitely using it in defense as well. You want to try to strike early if you can, Will.
And I was just going to say, striking early, Alexander Rossi is already up 5 positions. He's the biggest mover, and he is right with the lead group. The number 20, that light blue and yellow Java House car, is going forward with aggression.
We pull back to Colton Herta, looking there at Will Power. Rinus VeeKay and the 3 McLarens line astern, half a second. The gap at the front of the field between Palou and McLaughlin as we get a look at them. And this so important for Scott McLaughlin, for the entire Penske enterprise, as the McLarens are going wheel to wheel. And Lundgaard wants to take advantage over his teammate, gets the move done into turn 1, and Siegel drops 1 place.
But I like the elbows out driving there from Siegel. He's not making it easy on his teammates. He's proven that he wants to step up, stand up in that seat, and prove that he belongs in that position. Keep it right on the back of Lundgaard now. O'Ward chasing him down as there goes Rasmussen on the inside of Newgarden. That's the softs to the hards. You see the red sidewall. Oh, look, and trying to come back on the outside. That red sidewall Firestone, that's the softer rubber. The black sidewall tire, that's the harder compound. A little bit slower, but should last a bit longer. And there is Alex Rossi, like you mentioned, on a charge right now.
Got another position.
Strong,
yeah, got another position on a Meyer Shank car. Rossi making those soft compounds work really well right now. Let's take this close call for Josef Newgarden just a few corners ago. On board here with Rasmussen. Goes to the inside, locks the rear axle just a little bit. Newgarden over-unders and has the advantage and leaves Rasmussen with no room at the exit.
Look, it's hard racing. That's what you kind of expect here at Barber. We've seen a lot of this coming off of turn 5. Drivers just opening their hands up and not giving the guy on the outside a lot of room. Not the last time we'll see that today.
Alexander Rossi is the man on the move, currently sitting in 9th. Pato O'Ward ahead of him on the harder tire, squirreling around, trying to get the power down, trying to get the move done on his teammate. Lost a little bit of ground in the process, and look at Rossi. He is so hungry for this. He's got pace in hand.
And tires to help with that pace, and Pato O'Ward playing defense right now, just trying to hang on as Rossi continues his march forward. There they are, Rossi all over the back of O'Ward. That is going to be for 8th place if he can get by Pato.
The body language of that car and of that driver, he does not want to hang around. He's made up so many places already in these opening laps. As we look back from Pato O'Ward towards Alexander Rossi, who's up and on the inside and trying to nudge his nose ahead of the McLaren.
Trying to pull the Newgarden move there, and again, Rossi on those soft tires, Pato O'Ward on the harder tires. And Rossi's got to be a little bit careful, though. He's burned a lot more push to pass than a lot of guys around him. You see it up there on the graphic, 171 seconds left. So he's used about 29 seconds of his allotted 200, only the second highest usage so far in this race. You're going to need some more of that as that 90 laps goes down. So as tempting as it is, you do have to show some restraint.
I don't recall, guys, a first few laps of Barber where guys are pressing this hard, this early on their cars. This is full send mode here. Absolutely max power, max fuel usage, and max tire usage. The Firestones are coming alive right now.
And I'll tell you what I like about that. That tells me that all these teams are committed to that 3-stop strategy. No one's trying to string out a 2-stop. These drivers aren't cruising around. They are pedal to the metal, full tilt, and that's what drivers like to do. That's what fans like to see.
Top 3 finishers last year all won it with a 3-stop strategy. The numbers don't lie, Will. They know what they need to do to win today.
Palou still leads from McLaughlin, but that is your man on the move. Alexander Rossi taking the fight to his former team, trying to get the moves on Pato O'Ward. Welcome back to the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, where the pace and the action has been fast and furious. Your pole sitter Alex Palou pulling out a sizable margin over Scott McLaughlin, 2.9 seconds now his lead, but it's behind that where things have been absolutely fascinating. Alexander Rossi making up a ton of places to sit ninth. Carl Kirkwood making up 4 places. Our second place driver in the championship, he's up to 14th, but losing positions. Josef Newgarden, guys, down to 15th place. Let's take a look at the driver spotlight sponsored by Honda.
Biggest fear of the sea. Well, it's not the competition, I promise you that. Likes being in the gym. That's pretty fitting for an IndyCar driver. Interstellar, I mean, it looks like he's time traveling right now. He's so far at. I don't know, I'm running out of jokes to make on that, but.
Well, I like it, you know, loves the gym because he can control it. The sea, a lot of unknown. You don't really know what's down there. This is a guy that likes to control every element of his sphere to perfection. He's doing it right now with that 3.2 second lead over Team Penske's Scott McLaughlin. The hands ultra precise, the placement of the car so consistently perfect lap after lap, but a long and very challenging race to play out, especially when we get to pit stops. When do you pit and how do you blend out in traffic? At the back of the field, these two cats, Scott Dixon and Marcus Ericsson, both multi-time IndyCar race winners, are dead last in this field right now. Maybe that's because they are trying to go much farther and only make this race on 2 stops. We can watch and listen to this PNC Bank onboard to see if Dixon's saving mad fuel.
It sounds pretty coasty, Townsend, because here's the thing. As we just mentioned, with the pace that we're seeing up front, a lot of these guys you can tell are committed to that 3-stopper. On paper, it is faster. You need some yellows to get this 2-stopper to work. But if you're starting back on the second last row of the grid like Scott Dixon was, you can't do the same as all the cars in front of you. You have to do something different. They are rolling the dice and hoping the 2 works.
And what they will do, if it is a 2-stopper for Dixon and Ericsson, is they will wait until everybody else up front pits for their first of the 3 stops, and then they will press like crazy. But that is not what Marcus Ericsson is doing. He pits, gets the harder black tire off, the softer reds go on.
And it looked like there was a lot of grass all over those tires that he just took off. I'm wondering if he's run off the track. It looked like it.
Sometimes that's on a pit in too, shortcutting the grass a little bit, trying to shave a few hundredths of a second.
Okay, but look, this isn't terrible either. Now Ericsson has brand new soft tires. He has nothing but clean air in front of him. He can rip out a ton of fast laps here and still only try to do 2 more stops. I know it makes it a 3, but a yellow brings him in. He's already satisfied the tire rule. You have to run at least 2 laps on each type of tire. The primary, definitely the dislike tire, the alternate, the red sidewall, that's the preferred tire. So he's got the hard part out of the way now. He can just run on reds all day.
Guy that we're watching now, Colton Herta, how does he hang on with the harder tire? 6.5 seconds back of Palou. Palou will have to run that hard tire at some point during the race as we ride on board. And you see the rules for each event. You get 5 sets of each compound, but you have to run 1 of each in the race. Red tires, the soft tire, we think is the faster and more durable with speed all day today.
Cambridge driver has been quick all season long, and qualifying hasn't started worse than 4th, but the results on Sunday have been sort of hit and miss. It's 7th in the championship right now, hoping for a big chunk of points today.
With the strategy that he employed at St. Petersburg in the opening round of the season, he should have been leading the group whose strategy ultimately won the race, but a mistake on pit lane, a slow rear right tire change, robbed him of the chance to fight for that win. It went, in the end, to Alex Palou. He looked incredibly competitive in Long Beach. Again, issues on pit lane. Without that, Colton Herta, with the impressive performances he's shown so far this year, would be far farther up the Drivers' Championship. He just needs a solid result.
He does, but he also knows, and I think what's so impressive about Colton Herta is he knows he doesn't need to try any harder, just keep showing up with the record pace. As you said, highest averaging qualifying this season. It will come. Stay at the front.
It's Herta 3rd, it's McLaughlin 2nd. Palou still leads here at Barber Motorsports Park. Everybody loves a statistic in motorsport. How's about this one for you? There has been one caution in 3 races thus far this season in the NTT INDYCAR Series. 249 consecutive green flag laps as we rolled to green here today. That number, of course, has now increased. The last yellow was lap 1 in St. Pete. Welcome back to the NTT INDYCAR Series on Fox, live from Barber Motorsports Park. Newgarden's in. Kevin.
And he's going to the sticker set of sauce, the red sidewalls. That's a good quick pit stop, trying to do something a little bit different. He lost 6 spots in the first stint.
It was not a great opening stanza for Josef Newgarden, but Newgarden, one of the drivers that started on those hard tires, which we've seen a couple drivers losing pace, and even going back on board with Scott Dixon in the break there, it doesn't sound like he's saving fuel. This might just be a function of these hard tires not having the pace.
Pretty shocking when you think about it. 34 seconds behind the leader sits Scott Dixon right now. That is a monster gap.
Meanwhile, you had Ericsson, who came in and with clear track and a fresh set of soft tires, he's got the 3rd fastest lap of the race. He's out there plugging away, trying to close that gap. Has already made it by Kalamilot.
So, but why wouldn't Dixon be in already to put the reds on? If he is only doing...
He's coming in right now.
Well, there you go.
You called it. He was just waiting to get a few more laps. That's just going to open up the window for him later. It's going to allow him to push more and not have to save any fuel as he switches over to those soft tires. We see Ferrucci there right on his corner. And Dixon now into the pits. Jack.
Yeah, literally just hit his marks. It's just a difficult place to be without any yellow right now. Maybe that 2-stopper just wasn't on the cards for him today. He's jumping to light speed. He's going back out down pit lane.
And look, there is a chance that they went in with that plan with no caution in the first few laps. The saving fuel lap time was just too slow. They were just bleeding time and track position. They had to abandon it. But because they went out in the first round of qualifying, they do have 3 brand new sets of those soft red sidewalled Firestones, where a lot of other teams are going to have to use some used sets that already have a qualifying run on them.
So everybody from Ferrucci in 21st down has already come in and made a stop. Devlin DeFrancesco in P20, your first driver that hasn't. Now in comes Pato O'Ward from the top 10. Jack, you're there and waited.
Yeah, he's got a brand new set of those red soft tires. I thought he had a pretty nice first stint there. The radio communication with Pato was that things are going the way they're hoping to. Maybe they're going to find a little bit more pace and extract using these new tires.
Now, guys, is it overcut or undercut territory here? What normally transpires at Barber when we're looking at that top 10 and looking at guys like Herta and Power? Do they want to be coming in after?
I think you want to be the overcut so that you can have track position. If you overcut, even if you're slow on the outlap, you can position yourself on the racing line on a track with a lot of turbulent air. Kyle Kirkwood down and away with prefab home wiring on board here. He just comes out in front of, who is that?
It's just ahead of Graham Rahal.
So Rahal had already pitted, so that's a battle on the same strategy. And this is the overcut, if you will, for these 2 guys. Kirkwood's on cold tires, but Graham Rahal cannot get around. But we think Kirkwood has a problem. Let's listen.
On the gearbox, I can't really go faster.
Copy that. Pit this lap. Pit.
Deep pit.
So that's why he stopped when he did.
I was going to say, he started on the softs, so that was a way too early stop for someone on the softs. Now we know why. Lundgaard in the pit lane right now. He started 7th on those hard tires. He's gone to the softs. So all those primary starters, the black sidewalled Firestones, they're coming in around now, and they can run reds the rest of the race. Your leaders, Palou, McLaughlin, they have to eventually take that pill and have the hards. But Kevin, what is the 7 team saying to Christian Lundgaard right now?
Well, it's more what I watch. Those are used softs, used sidewalled with red on the side. That means he has 2 sticker sets left to use.
Could be very beneficial later on in this contest. Still Herta, Power, VK and Siegel on the harder compound Firestone tire, yet to come in and stop. When did they take that choice? When did they pull the pin?
Well, here's the question I have right now. What is Scott McLaughlin and the 3 team going to do as they come in pit lane? What kind of changes can they make? This guy's won the last 2 races here, and he's getting smoked right now by Palou on pace. Georgia, Scotty Mack coming to you.
Yeah, Scotty Mack, of course, going for 3 in a row here at Barber Motorsports Park. He started on used res. The team has Firestone Blacks, brand new, going on the number 3 car. He's been complaining a little bit about the rear, but so far so good for Scotty Mack. He's going to try to make up ground on Alex Palou.
So from soft to hard for Scott McLaughlin, that could be a key tactical consideration.
You see his teammate Will Power getting his service done as well, and this is what's bad for Power coming out in traffic. That's Devlin DiFrancesco right in front of him. You want to try to come out in clean air. That's one of the things that the teams will look at when they call you in. It's where you're going to merge back onto the track. It's about a 28 to 30 second loss, so you look back on the racetrack to see where that's going to spit you out. Used reds going on the Verizon car of Will Power.
Alex Palou continues to circulate in the lead of this race on the Firestone soft with which he started. Now setting lap times around the 1:10. That's pretty similar to where everybody else is. Alex Palou just holding it steady, getting the job done, as in comes VK, Kevin.
One of the front runners from 5th. He started on the harder compound. He's got a sticker set of softs coming out. Remember, he's got 2 of them. Little bobble, lost a second or 2 on the exit from the pit box.
It was a big effort on the front wing from the crew there. Looks like they were adding maybe, Townsend, a lot of front
I'd rather
wing.
take an extra second to get the aero adjustment in at this track, and there's problems for Kiffin Simpson on the left rear. The gun is jammed.
What a shame. He's been having a nice day up there in the top 12.
Important to know they are down a crew member on the A crew. An injury that was suffered yesterday away from on-track action, broke a bone in the arm of one of their tire changers. They had to sub someone else in, so not necessarily unexpected to have a little bit of a bobble there, but you know, tough break for Kiffin. That team doing a great job kind of having to deal with a man down. We wish him all the best in his recovery.
Yeah, I believe it was the outside rear tire changer that suffered the injury. That was an inside rear issue there with either the nut getting jammed or not tight, something out of sequence for the 8 team. But for the teammate here, Alex Palou, and that glorious HRC paint scheme that has won so many times on 2 wheels and 4, Alex Palou is just doing what he's done all year long, which is lead smoothly and trouble-free. It's just been an exercise in blissful perfection for this team. 20 laps in, long ways to go, but they are in control right now.
The intriguing thing for me here, guys, is pretty much all of these early stoppers have been those to come in and change off the hard and onto the soft, with the exception of Scott McLaughlin, who has done the opposite. Did he take too much out of his softs earlier in trying to take that battle to Alex Palou, or is it just trying to go off strategy and try something different?
Well, I'll tell you, the shot we just had of Alex Palou showed quite a bit of squirm in his car. He's running about 7 to 8 tenths slower than he did about 10 laps ago. Let's take a look at this slow-mo of Alex Palou. And maybe you can see here what I was talking about in terms of just kind of that squirmy slide. Doesn't look too bad right there, but the tires look very clean from a degradation standpoint.
You do see that dark line on the inside shoulder of the right front there. It's definitely starting to show some wear. You mentioned that lap time are going down. I was going to mention Herta was doing a great job taking it longer on those primaries than anybody else, Georgia.
Yeah, Colton Herta drew attention of his crew. They're putting on a scuffed set of Firestone reds, filling it up with fuel, and he's down the way.
Slight fire on the left rear brake as well. Show you just how hard it's having a push.
So here's the debate for Barry Wanzer and the number 10 team as Louis Foster's down and away. Do you run longer on the reds? At what point are they so slow that you'd be better to go to the blacks? Because if the black is not the faster tire today, then you want to shorten that stint. You want to run the reds as deep as possible and shorten up. Probably your next stint, you'll go to the harder tire.
Well, let me talk to you about this. Alex Rossi, he has stayed out so far on those softs, and he just set his fastest lap of the race on the last time. So these reds are hanging on. The pace is there.
And this might be the only thing that can slow down Alex Palou today. He's coming up to traffic that he needs to lap. That is Devlin DiFrancesco, 27th and last, currently running. And well, actually incredibly slow. His last lap was a 1:20.
They should pit Devlin right now, excuse me, Palou right now, unless he gets passed easily. And we understand that the 10 team is doing just that, as Devlin DiFrancesco ain't exactly going to just pull over and let the leader by as Palou slides the back of his 10 car coming out of turn 5. Rossi's in.
Big stop for the ECR crew. Another set of those sticker reds going on the number 20 clean and away. And if you are Alex Palou, what you're looking at is the gap to Colton Herta. He's the highest running driver that has already pit. He's about 36 seconds behind Palou at the minute. They could pit the 10 now and safely come out in front. And you hear the call from Barry Wanzer on the pit stand of Palou. Pit, pit, pit. Expect him in this lap.
Running in the HRC livery this weekend here in Birmingham, Alabama. Now your race leader, your championship leader, jumps in to get off those red tires. Will he choose another set of the reds, or will he, like McLaughlin, move on to the hards? Georgia.
They will not choose another set of reds. He will be going to scuffed black tires. And you saw the slide a little bit earlier. They're also going to take a turn and a half of wing out of Alex Palou's car. So far, so good through the beginning. Then you saw that slide. It got a little bit loose. They're going to make a slight adjustment, and he's down and away.
Couple of turns on that front wing. Palou is away. Where does he cycle out? Well, I can tell you Colton Herta only now is coming through the final corner to head down the start-finish stretch. Palou is out with consummate ease and ahead of Stingray Robb. Armstrong is your de facto race leader from Felix Rosenquist, but Palou's only fallen to third after that stop. Number of pit stop problems here today, negatively affecting so many drivers' races, both for McLaren, for Andretti, and for others. We will be back here in Alabama shortly. Coming up next, it's a rematch of last year's UFL Championship game as the San Antonio Brahmas battle the defending champion Birmingham Stallions. Coming up next on Fox. Back on board with Scott McLaughlin, currency of good ranchers. He currently sits third. Armstrong has come into pit, which has unleashed Palou back into the lead. Colton Herter is now second, 4.6 seconds back. Scott McLaughlin, we ride on board with him now, 7.3 seconds back.
Look at those hands busy, thanks to Dallara. Let's take a look at our Dallara cutaway car, specifically the steering wheel, James. There's so much going on these days, both hybrid and push to pass the driver has to worry about, in addition to upshifting, downshifting, engine settings, all of the information that's on the display. You need a PhD to drive one of these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very active system. The drivers have to learn how to master. You see the quick release function there. That's how they get that wheel on and off. A plethora of paddles on the back, from regen to paddle shifts in the middle, down at the bottom, often used for the clutch. But as you say, you've got to be managing all these buttons, all these dials, all these knobs, all that information that you see on the dash while you're navigating 170 miles an hour around this very complicated racetrack.
On board Scotty Mac's teammate. Here's thanks to PPG, Josef Newgarden. Tough weekend for this guy, running 11th on a track that was a gimme top 5 for him for so many years, and frankly, the last several years have really been a struggle here. He hasn't had a finish inside the top 10 for the last 4 years, and Kevin Newgarden looking for some magic in the final 2/3.
Yeah, and he's certainly trying to make up some ground after a first stint that lost some ground. And sometimes by just listening to a team scanner, you learn things about other teams. Tim Cindric just told Josef Newgarden what the strategy is. Only 2 teams have not satisfied the requirement to run the hard compound. That's the 20 and the 66. Rossi has not done it yet, and also Armstrong. Everyone else he expects to be on the softs the rest of the way.
Interesting stuff. There is Josef Newgarden, had a tough start to this race, but now finds himself in 11th, way up from where he was just a few laps ago. The pit cycle working out in his favor. Team Penske at Barber, 9 poles, 574 laps led, and as we know, their win rate around here is truly special. 8 wins out of 14, 7 of them going to the 3 drivers currently filling their seats.
I got to jump in here and say that I'm pretty sure Tim Cindric is giving Josef Newgarden some misinformation, because yes, you do have to run both compounds of tires, which all but 2 cars have done, but one of the caveats is for the softs, for the red tires, it has to be a brand new set, and many drivers have used a used set for their reds so far, so there's still quite a number of drivers that need to throw on a new set. But that's not really what Josef Newgarden's worried about right now. He's worried about Santino Ferrucci of AJ Foyt Racing, who's all over his gearbox.
And in the sister team, AJ Foyt Racing, with that collaboration with Penske, it's been a difficult start to the season, Townsend, for both these teams.
And what does that mean, a collaboration? Well, for Santino Ferrucci, as he comes into the pits, maximizing his entry, it means that Santino Ferrucci has all that information, not only this year, but historically, onboard footage, setup information. And Kevin, the AJ Foyt team coming to the pits, competing straight up with Team Penske.
But I don't think they wanted to pit here. They did a short fill the last time, didn't get as much as they wanted in, so they may need to do 2 more stops. It's going to be a big save to do it on 1 more. They could be facing a 4-stopper.
Wow. That would be pretty huge for them as they refill on Shell 100% renewable fuel. Not enough. Short fill on the first stop.
And that was all on the softer tires, 2 short stints. So that's really starting to unravel for the 14. Not the day going that they would like.
So like the rest of the field, I've been hopeful that Palou's pace might suffer as he went to the harder tire, but still devastatingly quick. He just did a 10-1 to Herta's 10-3. They'll keep fighting when we come back to Augusta of Motorsports, Barber Motorsports Park.
The IndyCar paddock has embraced this weekend as an opportunity to celebrate the work of Children's of Alabama. And on Friday night, the Barber Vintage Motorsport Museum hosted drivers as they met with parents and patients and families at the Racing for Children's dinner and auction. This annual event supports patient programs at Children's of Alabama, as well as childhood cancer and blood disorder research. It really was a fantastic night. I was lucky enough to attend myself and try to help the folks raise some much needed funds for a very important and worthwhile charity. Welcome back to the race here in Alabama, folks. Alex Palou still your leader to the tune of 6.3 seconds over Colton Herta. Scott McLaughlin is third, Will Power fourth, so it's an all Penske 3-4, then an all McLaren 5-6. VK is seventh, Armstrong is eighth, then Rossi and Siegel rounding out the top 10. Over 1/3 distance completed, still yet to see a yellow flag or even any sign of one. Everybody being incredibly well behaved and getting their elbows out.
Well, and everybody's studying the pace of this 10 car. Sensational at the start of the race on the softer compound tire, but also right now on the harder tire. Let's take a look at our ghost car comparison on the top half of your screen. The lead car on the softer compound, that's Alex Palou on the hard compound. So same driver, same car. We're just comparing their fastest laps on the two different tires. Over here in turn 5, you see how that softer tired car can get after the power a little earlier and get a better exit. That added grip pays off in little ways through every corner around this track, and it adds up to about a half-second advantage over the course of a lap.
And you can see a little bit of it is mid-corner, but a lot of it is that exit speed. It's that traction element that you get. But right now, I mean, Palou's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He's 2 to 3 tenths quicker a lap than Herta behind, who is on those alternate tires, the soft sidewall tires. Now, Herta is on used reds. He's not on a brand new set, but still, the fact that Palou has this kind of pace on the tire that's not the preferred tire, man, it's just super impressive right now from Alex.
10 or 12 more on this set, plus 2.8 McLaughlin.
10 or 12 more laps on this set, says team strategist Rob Edwards. So lap 34, that would put him into that 44 to 46 window for their next stop.
And just from that onboard, you can see he's really trying to take care of those tires. He's not rushing the entries. He's not putting any extra lock in. He's being very gentle, very progressive with his initial turn in, and very progressive on the throttle as well. No wheel spin, no snap. So Colton doing a great job taking care of these Firestones.
He's done a great job behind the wheel all season. Delivering in qualifying. And maybe they're not on winning pace to Palou right now, but they're on podium pace, and that would be nice progress for the Gainbridge team to get a podium that they've deserved so far. He's had finishes of 16th, 4th, and 7th after starting 2nd, 4th, and 2nd in the first 3 races.
And look, if he was able to finish where he is running right now, that would be 3 spots jumped up in the championship, would bring him up into 4th. And one of the guys that he's chasing on the, or that he got ahead of on the racetrack in that first set of sequence is the number 3 is Scott McLaughlin. In Georgia, what's happening with the Thirsty Threes?
Well, Scott McLaughlin rides in 3rd, Will Power 4th, and Penske teammate Josef Newgarden down in 11th. Scott told me a little bit earlier their cars are set up wildly different from each other because of their driving styles. Scott himself says he likes more mechanical grip, as we just saw a little wiggle there, but his teammates, they like more of an aero grip. And my question to you, James, is what is the difference between mechanical grip and aero grip, coming from the same team?
Well, it's a great question, Georgia. So you kind of generate grip in these cars 2 ways. Mechanically, with the setup on the springs, the suspension geometries, the dampers, things like that. And then there's a good old-fashioned aerodynamic grip. That's the wings, the bodywork, the underfloor, sucking the car, pushing the car down. So sometimes you want to turn the car mechanically, give it a little more of a positive setup from the mechanical side of things, and then back off that center of pressure, that relationship between the front and rear axles from an aerodynamic load standpoint. Sometimes you want to mechanically lock down the back of the car and turn it by adding more center of pressure to the front.
If they're asking me that question from the engineering stand, I just say yes. I want grip.
Yeah.
Wherever you guys can figure out I can get it, give it to me.
McLaughlin,
plenty of it around here.
Welcome back to the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. Now, how would you like to take a sneak peek at the new 3-part series that's taking you off the track and into the life of the world's fastest drivers, 100 Days to Indy. Start streaming May 22nd on Fox Nation. To watch it, sign up at foxnation.com today as we have a McLaren on pit lane, guys.
That's Christian Lundgaard just making his second stop. There's Scott Dixon in for stop number 2. He'll go to sticker Firestone red soft tires. David Malukas, lap 39, pretty popular for stops as Dixon just has an edge coming to the timing line.
That's a one-lane pit exit there, so Malukas going to have to give up, but he does have the inside. Are they going to try it? No, okay. I wasn't sure how that one was going to shake out, but Malukas thinking better of it as now that's Ericsson on the inside. He's going to clear the A.J. Foyt driver. He's going to try to get around Dixon down here into 5.
As we ride on board with Scott McLaughlin, just ahead of him, Alex Palou, our race leader, interestingly, stuck on track behind his teammate Kiffin Simpson, who I think may just have let him through, because for the last lap and a half, he's been definitely holding position now. He has finally moved out of the way after a lap and a bit.
Gotta think that's some pretty
up.
strong radio coming from Chip Ganassi Racing to Kiffin Simpson saying, we're having a perfect day, don't mess it up. The 10 charges forward, the next traffic, about 8 seconds up the road for Alex Palou.
38 of the 40 laps run so far have been led by this guy right here. He has the fastest lap of the race by 0.2 of a second. There's really nothing going wrong. And it's days like this, well, where sometimes you really start worrying as a driver because it's going too well for him.
There was a battle shaping up, and there is a battle shaping up, though, for the final place on the podium, and potentially even more. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, Pato O'Ward, and Christian Lundgaard were locked in that battle. Now that Lundgaard has come into pit, who reacts the first? Will Power. Who else reacts? It's all going to shake out over the next couple of laps, and Jack is ready for us and ready for Will Power.
Yeah, and Will was having some radio communication with the team saying that he felt like he had pace, he had speed. He just needed something to get in front of his teammate Scott McLaughlin, and he's just an absolute tiny bobble there. He's on the softer, used red tires. Let's see how this thing plays out for Will Power.
He gets out just ahead of Pato O'Ward, as in as well comes Kyle Kirkwood. Where do they blend, though, in comparison to Lundgaard? There is Lundgaard coming through. Will go side by side with his teammate. Pato O'Ward just gets the jump on his teammate Lundgaard.
So he has track position, but he does not have tire temp. Lundgaard will be in full send mode, looking to Lundgaard right here into turn 5. Here it comes.
Up the inside on his teammate, gets his elbows out and says thank you very much, Pato, who will try to fight it back on the run down and underneath the bridge.
Pato O'Ward might try to come back on him, but tire temp's still an issue for Pato O'Ward. He'll need another lap until his Firestones are ready to go. Good battle, but it shows you that overcut. O'Ward has the track position, but tries to hang on. That's what makes Barber so fun. You've got that turn 5. Meanwhile, Scott McLaughlin comes to pit lane from 3rd. Georgia, Good Ranchers coming to you.
Absolutely, the Good Rangers, number 3. The Thirsty Threes pull to the attention of his crew. They're going to give him some front wing, put those striker reds on, leave everything the same, and he's driving away.
So out comes McLaughlin once again. Keep your eyes on that blend line. Look for those McLarens. Look for his teammate, Will Power. He's got it.
Nice
and
move
Lundgaard.
on Jacob Abel from Scott McLaughlin.
Lundgaard's got ahead of Power. There he is in the background of that picture. So McLaughlin gets out ahead of all of them. But Lundgaard, unbeknownst and unseen by us, ahead of Will Power on track.
Lundgaard makes quick work of Jacob Abel in the 51 there. Will Power will try to follow suit. Lundgaard knows he needs to make the pace work right now before Colton Herta, Rinus VeeKay, Marcus Armstrong all make their next stops.
Well, with the pace advantage he had on those tires already up to temperature, both over his teammate Pato O'Ward and over Will Power, will he be able to take a bite out of Scott McLaughlin? He's reeling him in. He's catching him up. He's getting ever closer.
it just shows you the advantage of those hot tires, because look how far back Pato is. Now is he going to try to lunge down the inside of 17? McLaughlin defensive going in, but he's going around the outside, inside of 17 for Lundgaard. Great pass.
That is gorgeous from Christian Lundgaard. What a drive from this young man who has impressed so much time and again, race after race in 2025, taking this team, leading it with absolute conviction. Lundgaard, one of, if not the most impressive driver of these opening races, does it again. Beautiful.
Demonstrating exactly why McLaren went to the market, the open driver market, and bought Christian Lundgaard on a big new contract, and he is delivering. He just passed the car that was running straight up third, and he just said, see ya.
I love that. I love that confidence.
I'm not usually a fan of drivers coming on the radio after a good pass to say how well they've done, but you know what? That one was earned. That was great.
Let's take a look at that again, courtesy of Pods with the big move. Look at this, guys. Looking at the outside, has the outside line, switches it to the inside. That was clinical.
As soon as McLaughlin took that slightly defensive line, driver's right, he was committed to it. And to have that amount of momentum at the apex, but on the outside, he was so committed to that move so early. I love that decisiveness.
Those 2 laps from Christian Lundgaard, knowing that he had the tire advantage, knowing he had to make every move work and every move stick. That's 3 positions in 2 laps, each one precise, perfect, absolutely magnificent. What a drive. What a driver he is proving to be in 2025.
And that should put Christian Lundgaard on pace to give Colton Herta a little bit of a headache when Colton makes his next stop. Right now they are separated by exactly 30 seconds. And just as we say it, here comes the Gainbridge driver. Colton needs his team to deliver right now. The 26 boys in strong podium contention. They're coming to Kevin Lee.
Rinus VeeKay is going to a used set of the softs. That means he still has a sticker set to go. He's a player for the podium, Georgia.
Herta is also putting on a used set of reds. This is an important pit stop for the team if they want to keep their position.
Oh, no! Not again. And it's a stall for Colton Herta as he tried to get away. I tell you, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all.
There goes Lundgaard. There goes McLaughlin. Here comes Will Power. There's Pato O'Ward. Colton Herta lost 3 positions there, maybe 4.
And another.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Kiss the podium goodbye, but now it's VeeKay on cold tires defending against Power. He's so good around here. Both of these drivers so good around here. Rinus elbows out, not letting Power get the jump.
And here comes Pato O'Ward up on the inside of Will Power. It's a fight between the 3 of them, and VeeKay hanging on the cold tires.
Best thing that could have happened to Rinus VeeKay was Pato O'Ward getting the gloves out and going to battle with Will Power right there. It gave VeeKay some critical breathing room. VeeKay almost lost it.
Wow. Sideways as Palou comes in. Alex Palou, you see in the top screen there. Beautiful, perfect stop from him.
Did you see how sideways VeeKay, the rears were absolutely on fire. He is going for it.
Mirrors full of the Penske as Pato O'Ward gets a little sideways and a little squirrely too. It is getting exciting and frantic here in Alabama, and somehow VeeKay still holds on.
What an outlap for the young Dutch driver for Dalecoin Racing. It's not over. He still has Will Power breathing down his neck, but on the cold tires, he survived that first lap. That was impressive driving under immense pressure from a multi-time winner here at Barber.
And as things stand right now for Rinus VeeKay, he's just on the outside of a podium looking in. It will be P4 when it all starts to stretch out, but Will Power will have something to say about that.
Your top 3 right now, Armstrong, Rossi, Rosenquist, all still have to pit. Palou in 4th, the most recent round of pit stops leading that strategy at the moment, and 2 of those 3 running up front right now are 2 of the fastest cars on track, trying to open that gap. Right now they're going to come out around 14th.
Will, you asked overcut versus undercut. So far the overcut delivering with authority for this field.
What a race we have in Alabama. It is Armstrong who leads, but Palou is in charge. Well, we are back here at the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix on a wonderful weekend here at Barber Motorsports Park, and so much is being done in support of Children's of Alabama patients. Patients and their families have received exclusive behind-the-scenes tours of the Team Penske and the Arrow McLaren garages, and really just a truly remarkable experience for deserving children and their families as they get up close and take a look at the inner workings of two of the very best NTT INDYCAR teams. Right, the Shanks, Meyer Shank team on pit lane from the lead of the race. Armstrong and Rosenquist. We were talking to Mike Shank earlier today.
Can't get the fuel unplugged for Armstrong. He lost about 4 or 5 seconds as the fueler was stuck. Watch for the blend. Alexander Rossi is probably who we're looking for in terms of, and he goes flying by, so that's a big penalty for the 66 with the fuel probe.
And he now has Santino Ferrucci up the inside. Wonderful move from Ferrucci, who's really been taking it to Colton Herta, who has looked at 6s and 7s since he came out of the pits, having had that terrible pit stop that once again dropped him down the order. He's been passed first by Alexander Rossi and now does have Ferrucci all over the back of him.
Look at the fueler here. He's pulling, he's pulling. He cannot get the probe released. And finally, it comes free. And that probably cost Armstrong 3 or 4 spots. It's a lot like Colton Herta, who had an issue of a different kind, stalling on pit lane. And look at Armstrong wrestle his car.
Bucket loads, armfuls of opposite lock there as Newgarden now tries to have a look at the inside of him. Nolan Siegel behind him, 2, 3, line astern through the final corners. This, Newgarden's favorite overtaking opportunity of the track.
And everybody knows it, so they defend.
Here it comes. No, I thought Newgarden was going to send it just like Lundgaard did.
Big defensive move. Armstrong kind of knew that was a possibility. Turned into 17 from the middle, but now Siegel looking.
I love it.
Not going to get it done into turn 1. These three still lockstep through turn 2, through turn 3.
This is where the fun begins. Josef Newgarden now having another look up the inside, but he's not quite close enough and aware all the time that any small mistake from him will allow Nolan Siegel through, who's having an impressive day out there.
Great job by Marcus Armstrong on the harder compound tire with less grip and cold temperatures to fight and stay ahead of Newgarden on the softer compound and now find the pace to hold position. He must be so frustrated, Armstrong, after what just happened on pit lane.
We talk about those incredible laps from Christian Lundgaard earlier on in the race. Look what it's done to his push to pass, down to 79 seconds. Everyone around him with 100 or more to burn. Palou still consummate ease with which he's led this race. 126 seconds, a push to pass remain, and Newgarden still can't find a way through.
He keeps thinking about it, and then every time he's got to defend a little bit on Nolan Siegel down the front straightaway.
Great battle here, and still so clean, still borderline respectable. Or respectful, I should say.
Great opportunity here for Nolan Siegel to learn from one of the best at Barber Motorsports Park, Josef Newgarden. Siegel, great qualifying performance to put himself in contention. He runs 12th right now as we ride on board thanks to NTT data. And now Josef Newgarden starts to get a little closer to Armstrong, but Siegel learning a lot right now about how to fight through turbulent air.
And doing a great job. We talked about the physicality of this racetrack, and in this sort of flat-out style of three-stop racing, you know, Nolan's not getting any chance to rest, and he's going up against one of the fittest guys, not just in IndyCar, but that's ever been in IndyCar, and Josef Newgarden keeping pace with him right now as they're both trying to find a way around Marcus Armstrong. But the 20-year-old from Palo Alto doing a great job keeping touch with those in front and keeping himself in contention for a strong finish here.
So it's Palou still leading from Christian Lundgaard. 6 seconds the gap between them as it stands. Scott McLaughlin third, then VK, and this man, Will Power, in fifth.
Told me I would have tried to pass the guy instead of saving fuel. Why did you tell me the cycle's still going?
Fired up Will Power.
I'm not an expert, but I think he's upset. I think what he was saying is, why are you telling me to save fuel? I could have passed McLaughlin. So maybe they gave him a fuel number, and now he's realizing he didn't need to save any gas. If it's a 3-stopper, you shouldn't have to.
Just saying, trying to save that Shell 100% renewable fuel when he absolutely didn't need to. It's dropped him down the order, dropped him away from fighting for a podium, and now down to 5th place, looking at the back of Rinus VeeKay. It's Pato O'Ward 6th, then Rossi 7th, Herta, Armstrong and Newgarden. Drivers on the move so far today. Scott Dixon is up 11 places to sit 15th. Alexander Rossi has made up 8 places to sit 7th. Rahal has made up 7 places. Lundgaard and Kirkwood both 5 places to the good from where they started. And for Christian Lundgaard, that means he is staring at yet another podium in 2025. Welcome back to the NTT INDYCAR Series on Fox, live from Barber Motorsports Park. Alex Palou still leads from Christian Lundgaard. The gap has dropped to 5.8 seconds. Scott McLaughlin is 3rd. Then it's VeeKay, Power, and O'Ward down to pit lane, and Georgia Henneberry.
And as we get close to what is presumed the last pit stop of the race, let's do a tire count. Alex Palou, he does have a pair of sticker reds left, but Scott McLaughlin, who rides in 3rd, he does not. He does have a pair of sticker blacks. Kevin, what are you seeing?
So Christian Lundgaard running in 2nd and Rinus VeeKay in 4th. Also both have a set of the sticker softs to play with, and VeeKay might even gamble and come in a little bit earlier than everyone else. Jack, what are you seeing?
The number 12 of Will Power does still have one set of the new red soft compounds. I did talk to the 12 stand and just said, hey, Will started a little bit agitated there. Was it a miscommunication? And they said, no, it was about pit sequence. It was trying to cover versus how far forward can we go. So that's where that little bit of miscommunication happened from stand to driver.
Little extra urgency for Will Power this season as he doesn't have a contract for next year. He's been racing like a guy driving for a contract next year. He's been performing like a guy that deserves to stay in this series for another 10 years. So Will Power, extra motivation to deliver another strong result today as he looks to secure his long-term IndyCar future.
While we were in break, we very nearly had our first caution, believe it or not. Off went Louis Foster, skidding through the gravel and the grass, then crept along by the side of the track and just kept it going. The Prema doing well to get out of his way, as was Alex Palou as he made his way back out on track. But we remain green, as we have been for 58 of these 90 laps due to run here today.
Now we remain green, and it's still this man up front, but the man behind him, Christian Lundgaard, is eating away at that lead. A few laps in a row now, he's been quicker, and he was 0.7 of a second quicker on that last lap. So Lundgaard in a great rhythm right now. Maybe a bit of a hiccup there from Palou, but that gap, 5.7, obviously still a sizable gap, but with coming up to 30 laps to go, that last pit window is going to be opening up.
And the next car up the road for Alex Palou is Devlin DiFrancesco. Still sits on the lead lap, but his pace has been about a second slower per lap than Palou's, and DiFrancesco will feel no obligation to let the 10 by.
I'm seeing on my screen 66 on pit lane. That the car of Marcus Armstrong. We saw he had a fuel issue with his last stop. Maybe it didn't go on, let alone getting it off. There is Dev, P24 for RLL. We will keep you updated with what's going on with Marcus Armstrong when we come back. Well, it's going to be our final stop before the Indy 500 as the NTT INDYCAR Series hits the IMS road course for the Soncio Grand Prix. The fastest racing on earth continues live Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on Fox. The battle back here at Barber Motorsports Park, the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. That is Connor Daly, that is Malukas, that is Ericsson and Ferrucci, currently scrapping over 16th place here in Birmingham. And guys, we can't be far away now from the final pit stops of the day. Choices for everyone to make on to what they roll onto for that final stint. But Palou has to take a set of fresh softs.
And he's got to get by Devlin DiFrancesco as Palou continues to try to get around the number 30 here. And this is not what Palou needs. He does not. Oh, there goes.
That's the gentlemanly move.
Gentlemanly move.
You jinxed it, man.
Not what we wanted in the booth, though.
You jinxed it.
No, that was gentlemanly move there from Dev. At the same point, though, I mean, there's still a lot of racing to go. A yellow could come out. You're not going to want to be on the losing end of that. And you see that that stat in this race. Alex Palou clicked over 1,000 laps led in his IndyCar career.
Wow,
which is so impressive when you think about being in his 6th season. Another driver named Scott Dixon hit his 1,000th lap led in year 6 of his career. But remember, that was back in a time when they were doing a lot more oval racing. And this guy right now has been passing cars like it's his job. Plus 13 on the day, biggest mover. We said, I mean, if there's someone that can salvage a good result from a bad qualifying, it's this guy.
You know, we spent the first 4 or 5 laps celebrating Alexander Rossi as the biggest mover. He was up, I think, 6 spots at the time. But so Dixon-like to quietly and without any spectacle pick off 13 cars since the start. This is what this guy does. Remember, no yellows.
Yeah.
Nothing to help him on timely yellows. It's been an all-green race. He's done it on racecraft and speed.
And not on an alternate strategy either, as we so often see him pull off these amazing last to first kind of strategy results. Now, O'Ward is the first to pull the pin and make his stop. 64 of 90. The McLaren driver brings it in from 6th place. Jack down there on pit lane.
A huge pit stop for the 5 here. I don't know if you guys have noticed, he doesn't have that much push to pass left. That was the biggest conversation between him and the stand, was push to pass management. Brand new tyres on for Power Awards to finish this race.
A lot of other cars and teams, I should say, laid out on pit lane. I think I saw the 18 Dale Coyne crew of Rinus VK ready to go. These stops so critical. We've seen 2 huge mistakes, or issues, I should say, with Colton Herta stalling, Marcus Armstrong's fueler getting stuck. This is the most important one, the last stop of the day, as the 60 at Rosenquist down and away. That looked clean.
Yeah, fuel beat tires on that one, not needing a full tank of gas, but you mentioned it earlier, those overcuts are important. So Kev, a busy pit lane right now.
And race leader in.
So we'll see a lot of people come down pit lane at this time, along with Scott McLaughlin, and Alex Palou is down there as well. And in front of me, we see Christian Lundgaard going to a sticker set of softs. Georgia.
Alex Palou also going to a sticker set of softs. They are so calm, cool, and collected. Every bit of this team perfect right now.
That looked like a Tuesday afternoon at the race shop practice. The number 10 team executing flawlessly as they have all season.
So now let's pay attention to these overcuts as we see the Verizon car of Will Power come in. Nice clean away there, but guys like McLaughlin, VK, Rossi, Herta staying out, trying to get a little bit of track position on that overcut strategy.
Where does Will Power end up with Pato O'Ward? Here comes Power. Where's O'Ward? There he comes into turn 1 on hot tires, but he's got traffic with Louis Foster.
Miles ahead, but as we saw, the benefit of having those warm tires with a lap already on them, we saw what it did for Lundgaard as Foster getting a little bit in O'Ward's way there, and O'Ward will sweep or hope to sweep around the outside of the rookie, does so with ease, but all of that will have just stopped him from eating into Will Power's lead as much as he'd have hoped.
I don't know if that was with ease. It was with a tremendous amount of confidence that he had to throw it around the outside there.
You saw how O'Ward had the lift and the king coming out of turn 3 as the front Downforce disappears in traffic, and a huge pit stop for Dale Coyne.
Oh, no,
Issue on the right front. The wheel nut has gone missing. Precious few seconds lost. That is not what VK wanted.
Oh, what a shame for Rinus VK. Such a brilliant afternoon. That will doubtless drop him. The question is, by how much?
He was battling Will Power. Power was behind by about 3 seconds. VK's coming out now. He did it once before on the last round of stops, defending on cold tires. Here comes Will Power. VK has position, but now he's got to hang on.
And Power has the tire advantage, has the heat in them, and VK will have to defend once again with his mirrors full of Power's Penske.
Another sticker set of the soft Firestones on the 18 of Rinus VK. He said did it once before. He's got a bit wide. That's going to open the door for Power on the back straight. Down into turn 8. It's a drag race.
But Power's going to have to go the long way round. Gets tucked up underneath him. If he's going to try a pass here, it will have to be bold, but he won't because he knows that he can't. He'll try a little later in the lap as they come down the hill and now into the blind sweepers uphill.
Perfect job from Rinus VK in the museum corner. He hit his marks. This is where he got mad sideways on the hard compound, but there you see the difference. The softer Firestone hanging on. Rinus VK delivering under pressure on this outlap.
One of the most impressive side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel races that you can see in the NTT INDYCAR Series is Rinus VK, who almost went this season without a seat. He was the last driver to sign for 2025, and thank goodness that he did, because this is a guy who turns up to race every single weekend.
But guys, how about that previous stint from Rinus? He came out on cold tires in front of Will Power, held him off, and pulled out enough of a gap to give his team a bit of a gimme, a get-out-of-jail-free card for that dropped wheel nut. That was all Rinus VK saving that position.
Such an impressive driver, and Alex Palou is showing no sign of slowing down.
But it's another Alex Rossi, that's leading the race right now, yet to do his last stop. This has been a great run for Rossi and ECR. I spoke to him after warm-up. He said, look, the car wasn't great, but we know why. Something was wrong. Confident in his race car coming in. He's leading right now. He was running 7th on merit before this cycle stopped, and we see him now in pit lane. This is going to be important. The only driver left to not have run the black sidewalled, harder compound Firestone tires, and he comes into the pits now to take that final set.
And he's going to come out right with Rinus VK, and we saw before what a struggle the outlap is on the harder compound. A wing adjustment for Alexander Rossi. I think they took out front wing, and watch this. This is a handful as he comes out. There goes Power. There goes O'Ward. Unfortunately, Rossi will not get any overcut benefit.
But he still sits ahead of Colton Herta, which he will be happy with considering where they both started this race. Georgia.
On Scott McLaughlin's scuffed reds. They only have 1.5 laps on them. So the team updated them. They said, take your time, bring them up to temperature. You have plenty of room between 3rd and 4th. Take your time.
So McLaughlin 3rd, Lundgaard 2nd, Palou 1st. 22 laps to run here at Barber Motorsport Park. It's not over yet. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. Huge amount of racing coming your way over the coming weeks. Indy Road Course Saturday, May 10th, 4:30 Eastern on Fox. NASCAR in Kansas, Sunday, May 11th. That's 3 Eastern on FS1. And NHRA Chicago, Sunday, May 18th, 2 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
Whoa!
19 laps to go.
Ferrucci almost destroyed that number 14, trying to make ground on Josef Newgarden. That is at about 160 miles an hour. That kid, he's a wheelman, whether it's the Chili Bowl or the High Groove at Milwaukee. But man, that was close.
Newgarden makes his way past Foster, who is the cork in the bottle. We ride on board with one of the most exciting drivers we can drive on board with, Santino Ferrucci, courtesy of Sexton Properties. Man, he's hustling.
Might take a lap to catch his breath here as he closes in on Louis Foster up ahead.
Guys, 18 laps to go as he slips down the inside of Foster, a lap down.
Nice.
18 laps to go on a very physical race. Flat out running. We've had no yellows. This is when you start to feel it from inside the cockpit. The neck is sore, the grip, your hands, your forearms, your shoulders, everything's starting to hurt.
Check this out, James. We'll see an onboard replay here for Santino Ferrucci in exactly this moment 1 lap ago. Let's watch and listen.
And that's what I'm saying. The steering wheel is loaded up. When it has little issues, you're starting to fatigue. It's harder to catch those moments when you're at this stage of an all-green race.
That was Colton Herta at Indy GP road course level of save. Impressive stuff. Hasn't backed off as Ferrucci goes after Newgarden. Poor Alexander Rossi having to finish on the harder black tire here and under all kinds of pressure from Nolan Siegel. This is the battle for 9th.
Nolan Siegel with the best finishing position of 7th place, which he took at Gateway last season, on for a top 10 as things stand at the moment. We ride on board with him, courtesy of NTT Data, the ECR car ahead of us. Rossi's having a good day, but as you said, it's going to be tough for him in these last 17 laps on the harder rubber with everyone around him on the softer tire.
And what's tough for Rossi in a situation like this is Nolan gets a pretty good run here off of 3s. Oh, I see some spots on the camera. That might just be from the curb. But one of the big things, you know, when you're in the position Alex Rossi's in right now is you're having to drive in your mirrors. You're looking forward, trying to hit your marks, but you always have to have one eye off to the side of the cockpit, checking the mirror, making sure Nolan's not close enough to make a move, and you don't have to move to a defensive driving line. So this is a tough phase of the race to be under that kind of pressure.
Big pressure for him. How much pressure will Scott McLaughlin come under, though, I wonder? Rinus VeeKay, we've been talking about how impressive he's been this afternoon. At the moment, he is on average a second a lap faster than Scott McLaughlin. At minimum, 8-7 tenths of a second. He is pulling the gap into McLaughlin. It was 11 seconds. It's now 7.
And it almost slipped away from Rinus VeeKay there on pit lane with that wheel nut on the right front, escaping the grasp of the wheel gun as Rossi continues to hang on. But let's take a look back at disaster almost for Rinus VeeKay. There goes the wheel nut. Mechanic can't find it, so he wisely sticks with the protocol, get the wheel on, grab the spare wheel nut, get it partially threaded, get the gun on, and he did a brilliant job to recover Rinus VeeKay. That could have gone so horribly wrong for the team, but they managed to stay calm under pressure.
This Rossi-Siegel battle is still heating up right now. Siegel's been a little trigger happy with his push to pass. He only has 4 seconds remaining. That's one blast. Won't even get you all the way from turn 3 to turn 5. Rossi, on the other hand, has got 21. So that is going to be something that's definitely in Rossi's favor if Nolan does manage to get a little bit of a run here.
Yeah.
But Nolan doing a great job. Again, the physicality of this place, you saw from some of his onboards, his head already starting to lean up against the headrest a little bit more in some of the flat out corners.
And Rossi doing a really good job. I can tell his car is loose, James. They did take front wing out on the last stop to anticipate the harder compound tire. But let's just watch and see what kind of balance Alexander Rossi's hanging on to.
Whoa, Nolan trying to sneak around the outside. He's probably burning his last of his push to pass. Gets some aero wash. Gets loose. Rossi defends.
That's smart driving from Alexander Rossi as Siegel gets on the power and tries to take it to him side by side. Out and down and under the bridge and into the museum section. So hard and brave to try and put on a move there, but ducks out of it.
Rossi's got nothing for rear grip right now on power down. He is just doing everything he can to just roll it on without spinning up the rear tires, but he's just looking for forward bite.
And he'll be told now that Nolan Siegel out of push to pass. And at the same time, he'll say, okay, cool. How many laps left? And when they say 14, he says, you gotta be kidding me, man. I gotta hang on to this thing with this kid breathing down my neck for another 14 laps. But no stranger to pressure is Rossi.
Nolan Siegel hanging on to those 4 seconds. He haven't used them yet. It's like a teenager at the amusement park who just found out he's got to take the bus home. Needs every penny.
All over the back of Alexander Rossi, the fight for 8th place in this race. Ahead of them, Colton Herta is 7th, Pato O'Ward sits 6th, then it's Power 5th, VK 4th, catching Scott McLaughlin ahead in 3rd, then Lundgaard and Palou.
Siegel starting to lose a little bit of the back end of his NTT car, and just as I say that, the team comes on and says, make sure you take care of these tires.
Dixon has quite incredibly made up another place. That's 14 from race start. He now sits 12th, having started 26th. We sit on board with him now. And folks, as we were saying, that is just down to the pure pace of one of the greatest that has ever sat in an IndyCar. Welcome back to the NTT INDYCAR Series on Fox, live from Barber Motorsports Park. Alex Palou leads, Christian Lundgaard, Scott McLaughlin, Rinus VK, Willpower and Pato Award. That your top 6 with 11 to go. Lundgaard now 10 seconds behind Palou. McLaughlin 5 further seconds behind him. And VK now 22 seconds off race leader Alex Palou. Still about that 7 seconds behind Scott McLaughlin. Time to take a look at the moment of the race, sponsored by Pennzoil. And as all drivers out there struggling with the physicality of this track, Santino Ferrucci put in a masterful display of car control just when he needed it the most.
And I'll tell you why that's a key moment of the race for Alex Palou, because that would have been a long, massive crash leading to a long caution, which would have eliminated Palou's dominant lead. But Ferrucci, as he has done countless times behind the wheel, narrowly avoids disaster with quick hands and eyes focused forward. That's a key part too. When the car steps out like that, so often drivers look at what they could hit as opposed to where they want to go. And Ferrucci does a great job keeping his eyes high and staying focused on where he wants to land once the moment ends.
Usually the first thing they teach you in racing school is the car goes where your eyes are looking.
That's right.
Keep your eyes up. Don't look at the walls. And I mean, the pace has been there for Ferrucci as well. He does have the second fastest lap of the race right now as we ride back on board with Siegel, still hounding the back of Alex Rossi. Jack.
James, I was honestly just thinking about something that you were saying. So I went and found his dad, Mark, physicality, just how physical this circuit is. You've spoken a lot about it. I asked his dad, what training did he do in the off-season? He said that he has gained somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds of muscle to be able to withstand this kind of track, the strain on the driver, and also so that when he's in one of these battles with someone like Alexander Rossi, who is incredibly difficult to get by, he physically is able to do it.
That's twice what his teammates put on over the winter. That's absolutely huge. That is the car of Marcus Ericsson dragging the right-hand side of his front wing along the track. Has not yet been given a black flag to bring that into pits and make any changes to it, change that out and get a new front wing, seemingly running okay, and Karl Novak thinking that's not a problem.
And this is a real problem for Christian Lundgaard right now. He needs to clear these cars because this is going to allow Scott McLaughlin to maybe threaten Lundgaard for second place in the closing stages. The gap right now, just under 4 seconds.
And on the last lap, Scott McLaughlin at 1 minute 10.5. Lundgaard was in 11.8. That's 1.3 seconds over 1 lap. He's got to make this move soon, or McLaughlin is coming for him. Kevin.
And he's been asking for help from IndyCar, but he won't get it because they're not a full lap down to the field. Now, meanwhile, while Lundgaard is working on his 3rd straight podium, spends a lot of time working on his golf game, and he's getting a lot better. Just started a couple years ago, but not nearly as good as his girlfriend that you see. Gabrielle Gilrowski is a college golfer. She played at Georgetown. She's a grad student playing at Tulane, and she tried to qualify for the U.S. Open last week, and Christian in the DC area was her caddy. She played well, not well enough to qualify, but only 2 out of the many that attempt get to qualify, so she's making progress on that. I asked her, how is Christian as a caddy? He's good, he gives me the right club, but he's not yet in charge of the yardage book, so that's still a work in progress.
Well, she might be grabbing her 3-iron here and go down and start whacking on the 8 crew to let her man by. Christian Lundgaard really starting to get fierce and aggressive, looking to the high side of Kiffin Simpson. That is close, nice. But he makes it work.
That's a nice move from Christian Lundgaard. Needs to make these moves happen, needs to make them stick. McLaughlin is cutting that gap down. It's just 3 seconds now between the two of them, and he now has to try and pass Marcus Ericsson, whose car is injured. That right front part of the front wing dragging along the ground, slowing him up.
And you saw Christian Lundgaard having to use push to pass to make that move. That's one of the things that's so frustrating as a driver, is having to burn push to pass on a lap down car. But as Kevin mentioned, the rules in IndyCar, unless you're a lap down to the entire field, you do not get a command blue, and you are entitled to race for your bit of the racetrack. But just to highlight how well Christian's done since switching to McLaren in that 7 car. McLaren took over this team back in 2020. In 81 starts, since then, the car between 20 and 2024, That car's had 4 podiums in 4 races. He's about to get his 3rd podium if things finish as they are going currently. So the rate at which he has gotten on top of this program, so impressive. Lundgaard will move up to 2nd in the championship should they finish as they run right now.
Meanwhile, as Lundgaard backs up to Scott McLaughlin, 6 laps to go. It's not impossible for McLaughlin to catch this group and start to back up to Rinus VeeKay, who is now less than 4 seconds off of the number 3 Team Penske car.
And Lundgaard just blasted some push to pass as he goes again now to try and get past Marcus Ericsson. McLaughlin will be smiling at this as Lundgaard's push to pass is depleted and McLaughlin still uses none. 6 laps to go. If Scott can start making his way through, Lundgaard is wasting all of this trying to get past Marcus Ericsson, who is defending his place on the lead lap. Now he makes the move. Now he gets it past, and boy did he ever need to do that, because McLaughlin was coming fast on a day where we have had 3 pit stops for everybody. This race normally a decision to make between, do we try and conserve Shell 100% renewable fuel, or do we blast all out and take 3 stops? Today everybody taking that decision to blast it and push with everything they've got on every lap.
So Marcus Ericsson did still 1:12.2 lap time. And I'm looking at Rinus VeeKay, a 1:10. So VeeKay is 2 seconds faster than Ericsson. Why is that important? Because if McLaughlin gets stacked up, VeeKay will have a chance to make the podium today.
Absolutely huge. With all of that and McLaughlin catching Lundgaard, I had completely lost sight of where VeeKay was, and he is just 3 seconds behind McLaughlin, as McLaughlin was 3 seconds behind Lundgaard. The difference, when we get to see him, is how many cars will there be between McLaughlin and VeeKay. From the looks of it, it's just the 90 car of Callum Ilott. Alex Palou still leads, 16 seconds the gap to Christian Lundgaard. He has done everything today perfectly. This guy is coming for Scott McLaughlin and a potential podium. And guys, I cannot overstate how important, how meaningful, how impressive that would be. He's taken the fight to a Penske in a Dale Coyne, a team with limited resources, limited budget, a driver who didn't even have a seat with a couple of weeks to go until the season started.
And that's just it. I mean, you think about the difference in preseason preparation of a driver like McLaughlin and Team Penske, and then all of a sudden at the last second, to your point, Will, VeeKay gets his opportunity and has to scramble to get caught up with a new team, new engine manufacturer, and he is delivering.
Guys, he's not just putting the fight to a Penske, he shipped him by 10 seconds. I mean, he is just, and that's after a botched stop. He had 3 or 4 seconds in hand before that stop brought Will right back to his gearbox. So an absolutely incredible run.
And there they are in the same shot.
You think he did that to Will Power, a 2-time champion with 44 wins under his belt? That's no chump. That's Will Power that he's just gapped by 10 seconds in a Dale Coyne. VeeKay having one of his day of days in the NTT INDYCAR Series. What an impressive drive. Even if it's 4th at the flag. I say even if.
This would be big if he could get by right here. Callum Ilott swings wide. I thought VeeKay might get the clean air that he needs. He needs Callum Ilott to be just a little bit quicker right now to get in the mix.
Needs some help from Ilott.
Might get him here. He's setting him up really nice through turn 3. Ilott gets way wide. VeeKay with a great run on the button probably right here as they come to turn 5.
He is on the button, moves to the inside. Will break as late as he dare.
It's on. McLaughlin's going to have trouble. This is good stuff.
Here we go. 3 to go. That's McLaughlin. That's VeeKay. That is the gap. That is all that is in it. It is just over a second.
Not for long, because McLaughlin has a bunch of dirty air in front, and I just don't know that he has the same pace that he's had the last couple of years. What's changed? The hybrid system. A little heavier race car at the back, and VeeKay and Dale Coyne Racing have found the setup to make it work. On board here with Scotty Mack as he tries to hang on with 2 to go.
And as frantic as this battle is for the final podium spots, you know, up front, Palou so far in front. He could be wrapped up on his couch in a Snuggie sipping a tea He is just absolutely cruising on a Sunday drive right now. Meanwhile, all hectic back in the throes of second and third, trying to sort out these podium positions. And can VK enter the conversation? Try to get himself some hardware today.
Look at the body language of that Dale Coyne racing car of Rinus VeeKay. It has purpose and intent. VeeKay can smell that podium. 2 to go. 1.5 when they get through the museum complex.
And
there's the traffic.
Look at the seconds remaining. McLaughlin critically 10-second advantage for that extra 50 horsepower, and they're both on the button on the backstretch.
VeeKay has 1.5 laps to make the move, but Alex Palou is already on his final lap here at Barber Motorsports Park. Guys, he has been perfect.
Again, as he does, James, race after race, and Chip told us at the second race of this season, watch out, he's only getting better. And where we think he found improvement, outright one-lap pace, just dominant this weekend.
I didn't believe him, but I mean, it's hard to deny what's happening here, coming to 3 wins in 4 races. Unreal.
As he comes to the Advanced Auto Parts checkered flag on the track where he won his first IndyCar race in his very first race with Chip Ganassi Racing, and wrote the first chapter of a book that has come to define the modern era of IndyCar. Mr. Perfect, Alex Palou will do it again. Untouchable, undeniable, inevitable. It's gonna be 3 wins from the opening 4 races for Alex Palou.
What a car.
And it's not over yet. There is VeeKay tucked up behind Scott McLaughlin in the red and white car ahead of him. He has one final chance. I don't think he's quite gonna get there, but a 4th place for VeeKay behind McLaughlin and Lundgaard. That is your podium. Palou, Lundgaard, McLaughlin. But VeeKay, Rinus VeeKay for Dale Coyne with a 4th place. What an astonishing drive.
And I'll tell you what, if you're one of the bigger teams looking to strengthen your lineup in 2026, you better start texting and dropping by the VeeKay house, because that is probably the hottest talent that could be available for next year.
But guys, what do we say about this young man, about Alex Palou? He had 2 wins last season en route to the championship of races that counted towards the championship. 3 if you include Thermal, which was a non-championship race. He has 3 race wins from the opening 4 rounds of the 2025 season. It's incredible.
He's about to have 2 less Firestones and 1 less Honda engine if he's going to do some donuts, but that looks to me like one of those situations where the driver requested and the team denied.
Dude. Don't even think about it.
Be smart. Think of the championship.
There's not much space.
They're saying, listen, we're going to bubble wrap this race car. Don't abuse it right now, because it's the best out there as they go to what? Indy GP, Indy. You were there at the open test. I was watching from California, James. This car and this team look to be the best of the bunch for the 500 too.
It was my favorite car on pure pace. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, with the performance we saw today, you might as well just drive that thing straight into the museum and park it here, because that was one of the most dominant drives we've seen here at Barber.
And nobody even had a chance today to mix it up, to rough this guy up, to block him, to go wheel to wheel. He just never even let anybody get close.
McLaughlin tried. Lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, he tried. He knew that was his one opportunity, but once he was gone, and he ran away and hid. A brilliant drive from Alex Palou. Let's also talk about Christian Lundgaard, guys. Another podium for McLaren. What a sensational start to his career with that team.
Terrific job. He's doing exactly what was expected, what was hoped of him when he was signed to the McLaren organization. And like Palou, Lundgaard, I think, will only get better.
Palou then into victory lane to celebrate with his team. We will hear the cheers, we will hear the celebrations, and we'll see if he maintains the leg slap that he did in thermal and said that he might consider keeping it if he won again.
Oh, the jacks by the camera. Yeah.
Well, no leg slap required. A lot of cheers and a lot of enjoyment and some bubbles to follow for Alex Palou for the HRC liveried number 10 car this weekend. And he just keeps getting better. He's won from outside the top 5. He's won from inside the top 3. Now he's won from pole position. And Georgia, as you can see, is down as Christian just goes up to the boys on the team at McLaren to celebrate with them. And he has every right to be delighted with what was another phenomenal drive. Georgia, though, is standing by with our race winner.
16.26 seconds. That is what you paced this field by. How were you and this team able to pull off what seemed like the perfect day?
It was a perfect day. I would say a perfect weekend. First time we're rocking that number 10 HRC livery. I'm super proud of everybody that has been working on the 10 car and Chip Ganassi Racing and HRC as well. Let's go, man.
Job, man. Awesome.
Thank you.
Man.
Yeah, honestly, it's been just a perfect day. The car was amazing, super fast, and I just had a ton of fun. Yeah, I was a bit lonely there, but I loved it. It was an amazing day.
4 years ago, you got your first win with CGR right here. How special is this win, doing it 4 years later with the same team?
It's amazing. I mean, we've always been really good here. I love this place. Like, every single lap here just feels amazing in an IndyCar. So yeah, it's going to be extra special from now on.
Alex Palou and Chip Ganassi Racing victorious here at Barber Motorsports Park.
An incredible drive. 63 seconds of push to pass left at the end there. It shows you he really was just in a class of his own.
And his biggest complaint, I was a little lonely, but not now.
That's going to enrage a lot of other drivers when they hear that quote later, and rightly so. I mean, this is a generational performance that you're witnessing, and when you're racing against someone like this, as we see his daughter Lucia, it's
cool glasses.
They're very cool. I think I've seen you in something similar. But it's so
You've
demoralizing.
seen my daughter in something similar.
No, it's so demoralizing as another driver to see him win like that. You got to figure out, how do we do it? How can we match him? How can we beat him? It's so hard to find out.
Questions everyone in IndyCar is asking. How do you beat Alex Palou?
Alex Palou debriefing with the Chip Ganassi and Howdy Holmes, and boy, Alex.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. Let's take a look at the Advanced Auto Parts checkered flag moment. That man does it again. Alex Palou, 3 wins from 4 races, takes the checkered flag. Oh, that's not an Advanced Auto
Was that
Parts.
a fan threw a big piece of rubber at him?
That's a big piece of rubber. And there is your race winner, Alex Palou. There is Chip Ganassi. He likes winners. Kevin, standing by down there with our other guys on the podium.
If it wasn't for what Alex Palou was doing, which is pretty unprecedented, the numbers that Christian Lundgaard is putting up, what, 8th, 3rd, 2nd, should be enough to lead the championship. Still second. How big is this, though, starting with a new program at Arrow McLaren?
It's awesome. It's everything we could have hoped for and much better. The number 7 Arrow McLaren Chevrolet crew has just done an awesome job all year. I think in thermal, we proved it straight on pace. Strategy was good. The 10 car still beat us. We put the car on the wall in qualifying in Long Beach, and we raced our race forward to the podium, and the crew did an awesome job on strategy. And once again today we did so. We knew we could go aggressive after yesterday. The car hasn't really been as good all week as it was at the test when we tested here. So it's just been tough mentally kind of dealing with that, and we didn't really have time to do a lot of changes as we had an issue in P1, and then obviously you're straight into P2 and it started raining, and then you're into qualifying. We made that change overnight, and it was a deal breaker, and I think that's really why we're on the podium today.
And that allowed you to move forward during the race, not just strategy. You had some good battles, including the one with Scott McLaughlin to ultimately get you on the podium. Take a look at this.
Yeah, I did this on Scott Dixon a couple of years ago, so I thought I would do it on the other Scott this time.
That's a pretty good company. If you can get by Scott Dixon, it might work on some other people as well. Great job, Christian Lundgaard on the podium again. Now to Jack Harvey.
Rounding out our podium, we just saw him on screen. Scott McLaughlin, I know you wanted that 3 podiums in a row, though. You're still going to be pretty happy with this weekend.
Yeah, Jack, I mean, the Good Ranch Chevy's been fast the last few years, but yeah, we just didn't have enough today. Yeah, props to Alex Lundgaard as well. They were super quick, but we're our 3rd best car today. That was it. So, yeah, no, very interesting race. Wish we had a little bit more tyre life on our car, but overall, we're all good.
And what do you think there might be left that you can squeeze out of this thirsty threes to try and really challenge Alex?
Yeah, look, I think when the guy's on top of his game, you just can do the best you can in that regard. I feel like week in, week out, we can challenge him. But if he keeps executing, that's all we can do is execute as well. So, hey, props to his team. But it's a long season, and this is way too early to be even worrying about points. We just got to keep being there, and if we're there, we'll be okay.
Congratulations, mate.
Thanks.
An extraordinary start to the season, an extraordinary run for Alex Palou. 3 wins out of 4. An extraordinary run of green flag laps. Another race goes by without a caution.
1986 was the last time there was 3 consecutive races with no caution.
A little disappointed in Georgina, if I'm being honest.
She could have let go.
She could have brought out that caution to mix things up. But what another spectacular day at Barber Motorsports Park. The beauty, the grandeur, the museum, the pristine grounds here, always so special as Georgina holds on for another day.
Well, let's go from Georgina to Georgia.
I thought you were saying you were disappointed in me for a second.
Never.
Alexander Rossi, 15th to 8th today. You were also one of the only few cars on the black tires on that last stint, and I'd like to talk about that.
It's horrible. We knew it was going to be bad at some point, but with where we started, we were just trying to get as much track position as we could on the alternate tire and build a big enough gap to the cars we were racing to be able to put them on at the end. And it was a lot of work to keep Nolan and Josef behind there, but the team called a great race and they were great in pit lane, so I think that was the most we could do on the day. I'm still a little bit disappointed about our performance yesterday. I thought we had a quicker car than that, but ultimately it was a decent recovery today.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
3 top 10s this season. I think he'll probably be pretty happy with that. A great drive to hold on to 8th over the line.
And he's a race winner. He's been on the podium 4 times. You just missed today, but your dad just told me this was the best drive of your life. Do you agree?
It was definitely my second best, at least. I had a win, so I like to count the win as my best one so far. But It was a great race. I had a lot of fun out there and showed a lot of strength in a car that was really allowing me to be strong.
So what was the key today for you, and what was it like being able to hold off Will Power under cold tires?
Yeah, I think exactly that. The key is pit sequences and being in clean air from there on. So we lost a few positions on the first pit sequence. I think we stayed out a few laps too long on the blacks. Then going to the reds on the second stint, I thought I had so much pace because we saved a set of sticker reds for the race and qualifying yesterday. So I had some pace. I told the team, let's go long because I think we can beat those guys on the pit stop. And well, we narrowly did that, and I could keep them behind me from there on.
Very impressive for Dale Coyne Racing and Renus VK fourth today, and he heads to the Indy road course where he's got a win and a podium. Jack.
Will Power, you have continued this run of really strong Sundays. You did have some tasty radio communication with your team. Can you just talk us through it?
That was just, we saved fuel. We maybe could have gone a lap longer. It was nothing to do with the team. It was just me. It was more to do with situation on the track. We thought we should have tried to cover VK, and it was a bit of hard racing there, but it was still a good day. Still a good day. It was just really difficult for the guys with the strategy. You know, you had Lundgaard who undercut, but we could have overcut and got a couple of people. But you know, it was just a difficult decisions, but still a solid day.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, a brilliant day once again for Palou. There is your top three here at the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. More race reaction coming up.
The Indianapolis 500 never gets old.
It's our crown jewel, it's our champagne.
We prepare for months for the Indy 500, over 300,000 people on the stands. You can feel the energy.
I want 3 in a row. I want it so bad. I want to set history. I dream of doing things that have never been done before.
Well, we are well within the month of May now, and the Indianapolis 500 comes your way May 25th on Fox, with coverage beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I can't wait. Townsend, Hinch, you excited for the 500?
Best part of the year, best racetrack in the world, and for a lot of these drivers today, what they look for is momentum in May as we take a look at the top 10 results again. And I know it's been a tough start to the season, but he just barely got himself on this chart. Josef Newgarden there getting a top 10, and importantly establishing just a wee bit of momentum as he tries to roll into his third straight Indy 500 win. What are you looking at, Will?
Scott Dixon up 14 places to P12. What a drive from the 6-time champion. Phenomenal job from him, and I tell you what, Jack Harvey standing by with him right now.
Scott Dixon was the biggest mover of the race. What a fantastic drive, especially considering it went green the entire way.
Yeah, it was, you know, we were hoping for some caution, man. You know, it's definitely frustrating starting 26, you know, and I think when you got a field that's so strong right now, you know, to pass 14 cars is really, really tough. So, yeah, we would have loved a caution at some point. You know, kudos obviously to the one. I mean, to Palou getting another one. 3 out of the first 4 races is pretty epic. So, you know, huge for the team. Congrats to our team. I think we were fastest on pit road today, which was good. Everything was very smooth as far as that went, and strategy was pretty much right on it. We kind of had one overlap there where we got the Prema on the end lap, which cost us a little bit. But yeah, you know, strong day for us, but obviously a 12th position is not great.
Very classic Scott Dixon drive.
Great drive from Scott Dixon, but it does drop him down the championship table to 7th. But look at Christian Lundgaard rising up to 2nd place behind Alex Palou. Guys, thank you so much for your company this weekend. Hinch, Townsend. It's been an absolute joy.
And you look at that gap of this guy, 60-point lead in the championship. That's the gap past the next 9 cars. James covers the rest of the group in the top 10. A massive lead.
Pole, win, fastest lap, led the most laps. That's a maximum points haul, 54 points. The Grand Slam, it was an incredible weekend for Palou.
Coming up next on Fox, it's a rematch of last year's UFL Championship games. The San Antonio Brahmas battled the defending champions Birmingham Stallions in our next IndyCar race, Indianapolis Road Course, Saturday, May 10th, 4:30 Eastern.